And we're back. I'm Joe Spina, and Al
DiVirgilio
is back from...
I couldn't stand to be away from you any longer, Joe. I had to come back, and I had to get this beautiful T-shirt that you made for me, but you're going to get it remade,
Lynn's
I guess,
In.
because it doesn't have my name on it.
Yes, it does. You can barely see it, but it does.
Okay.
Lynn's In. And if any of you folks, by the way, would like one of these gorgeous handmade, should I say, just give us a call, give us your address, your size, your name. We'll have it to you in a couple of weeks. How's that? So
I saw John Hoffman the other night, and he told me to watch out because you're up for an Oscar for this show. He said,
no,
you're
actually,
doing...
I'm up for the Obie.
Oh,
The
okay.
Obie. Paul is, as we speak, in the Windy City, and he'll be back next week, and we all always miss him. Now, we're going to get rolling on this. First of all, this show is a genesis, and I want you to clearly understand that the City Voice, Al, myself, and everybody here were unaware of or kept away from an issue that's been very touchy, hasn't been adjudicated yet, as a matter of fact. There's a complaint that's been filed against certain members and the board of LynnCAM TV. So last week, the attorney for LynnCAM TV, Manny Papanicholas, stopped by with the president of the board, who are with us again tonight, and certain statements were made to which the mayor's office or the mayor took offense. And so she was going to come on the show tonight. So if you're waiting for her to come on, it's not going to happen because the attorneys have advised her, since this has not been taken care of yet, it's ill-advisable. So I'm going to read an exact statement from the mayor and the mayor's office, and it simply reads as such. My office is aware that a certain individual and attorney have appeared on a local public access cable talk show and have made statements relating to a lawsuit filed against Lynn Community Access and Media, Inc., otherwise known as LynnCAM. My office, Judy Flanagan's of the mayor's office, believes that any public statements relating to the merits of the LynnCAM suit are inappropriate, and I stress that, as long as the issue is pending. And so no charges have been brought. I believe it's a complaint. This is particularly important in view of the fact that in addition to the LynnCAM suit, there's also been an indictment against the husband of the former LynnCAM president, Karen Chapman, alleged for criminal, financial crimes, and further civil suit brought by the Attorney General against current Lynn Board members for breach of fiduciary duty. So there are two really separate issues here that we were trying to get to last week and really never got to. So on the one hand, you have LynnCAM TV, and the other hand, you have John Chapman in his capacity in a suit being brought forth. You were mayor, and so you understand how it works. I understand that the mayor, is this accurate? The mayor can only review LynnCAM's budget for advisory purposes. That's it. That the only linkage that the city has to the public access is one appointment to the board, which you had when you were mayor, and the superintendent of schools, and then the community, the members, can vote for the other three.
Initially, so we can go back, when I was mayor in 1986, and we had a board, it wasn't called LynnCAM at that point, it was Lynn Community the Cable TV Advisory Committee. All right, and then as mayor at that particular point in time, I appointed the entire board. And they would, basically go ahead and operate on their own. I would be able to advise. Then, as time went on, when the new contract was issued under Mayor McManus, they formed the corporation.
Bylaws, right?
All right,
yeah.
they were required to form a corporation where the money would go to that.
Let me hold you 1 second because I don't want to confuse the audience. When you say that, but it was a nonprofit and it's under the charitable umbrella.
It's a nonprofit corporation that was formed at the request of the city, and at that time,
But the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is the adjudicator of the operation thereof. They're the
Attorney
authority.
General can investigate any nonprofit organization.
And they can also
in the state.
rescind and intervene.
And they can
go
intervene
to
and rescind,
receivership
or
and
they
things
can
of that
appoint
nature. All
receivership.
right.
Correct.
I just want that clear.
Yep.
City cannot.
City can't do it. No.
All right, apparently, but I'm not quite sure. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Manny. May I call you Manny?
Yes.
All right. Now, here's the way I look at it. These a distinguished, diverse group of individuals and people have pretty much said the same thing. And many of them in your profession, attorneys and distinguished attorneys. Palamana's son, Was it Jim Lamanna?
Jimmy.
All right,
Yep.
he is the city attorney.
Yep.
Barry.
Michael Barry.
Mike Barry, city solicitor. Mike Marks, an attorney, also who back in 2011 had something to do with the meeting of the board. We'll talk about that later. The mayor, who's also a distinguished attorney. Dan Kale, president of the Lynn City Council, also an attorney and a specialist, by the way, in nonprofits. So he knows what he's talking about. You have the Blodgett district attorney. You have Healy, the attorney general. All lawyers, all competent, and then you throw into that Captain O'Toole.
A Democrat, by the way.
How what?
A Democrat.
Yeah. Then you throw in Captain O'Toole, and you throw in a couple of your former board members, Clammers and Johnson. All of them say the same thing, and I want you to respond to it, which is they're all highly critical of the board and the way it's conducted itself and how it operates. Manny, you got the line here.
Well, let me tell you, we got to go.
Can they all be wrong?
No. We got to go back to when LynnCAM was on Tremont Street.
Yeah.
When LynnCAM was on Tremont Street, they were paying rent $6,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
They decided at that time that they should move to a new location. Along comes a gentleman, and
Are you talking
I'll
about
call him Jim.
Chambliss? Talking
Yeah.
about Chambliss, right?
Jim
So let's not play games. And he had a building,
And
right? He had an interest in a building that you originally moved into, right?
That's right.
And the building was deemed what?
Before I get to that,
Yeah.
he was supposed to rehab the building
Okay.
and make it suitable for a studio and offices. He didn't do that.
Meaning what?
LynnCAM spent the money to redo that building.
Okay, and then you moved.
And then we moved into that building.
Well, you moved here.
Oh,
You purchased
moved
it.
into the Woodman Street building.
Okay.
That was the building that was controlled by Jim Chalmers' father.
Okay.
Lo and behold, the roof began to leak, and we began to investigate the building. We had engineers come down, and they condemned the building. This is a sick building.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sick building, and no human being should be in it.
But yet they were.
Yet they
No,
were.
yet you allowed that to happen. Yet they were there. You said part-time, go and get it for a lot of years, but you operated from there because under that's back in 2011, correct? You were talked about history. Let's get it straight now. That was back in 2011. The point being,
Yes.
it was black mold.
Yes.
And you decided to leave there. You broke the lease, and then was this purchased?
No. What happened was we started looking for a new location.
Mm-hmm.
There were several locations pointed out to us. We investigated them. One was on Boston Street. It didn't mature because the building was not suitable. Then we decided, well, why should we be paying $3,200 or $3,000 a month just renting a building? Why not buy a building?
Oh, look, but
Now,
this
wait a
history,
minute. No,
wait a
no,
minute,
no,
hold
no.
it. I have to stop you. This history is not taking us to where we want to go.
I'll get there.
Wait, no, hold it. Were you attorney all along? How long have you been with LynnCAM? Seriously.
With LynnCAM, I say about 5 or 6 years.
Okay. So are you on retainer or do you,
Charged by the hour.
and you turn around and you're representing the board? The
Are you
reason why I'm
getting paid
stopping-
tonight? Or is this volunteer?
No, the point I'm trying.
seriously, I mean,
this is very important because I understand the history. I'm going to accept the history. I have no problem
You
with
might
the history.
accept the history, but the public up there doesn't know about the history, and they should know about it. And
Well,
that's
we're
why
telling 'em.
I'm here.
But but that has nothing to do with the action of
Well,
the
I
complaint.
guess
Yes.
what Joe is asking is between the place that was deemed no good and the purchase of St. Jean's,
Right.
where did they operate in between?
They
Operate out of a
operated.
schools?
No, they operated.
No, we had offices over
You were at a sick building. You operated from a sick
No,
building.
we didn't.
You didn't?
No, we
In
rented
part.
offices.
In
You
part.
did?
Yeah, we did.
Just-
And you also stored material, did you not? Sets and electronics.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
On a 10 Farris Street, right?
That's correct.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, happens to be Leisure Towers.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, were you authorized to do that?
Yeah, I was in charge of
Yes.
the building.
You have certification. Did anybody get reimbursed for that? I mean, did the building, the owners, the superintendent
I was the superintendent.
of 10 Farris Street?
You got that right.
All right. And your mother-in-law lived there, right?
That's correct.
That's why they have problems. There's so many conflicts. Now, did you have permission to use
Let
the
me ask you
base?
something.
Hold it.
Hold
You
it,
can
hold it,
get to
Joe.
talk
Joe,
about
Joe.
it.
Let me say
Go
something.
ahead.
Does the mayor have friends in City Hall?
Yes,
Does she have relatives that work there?
absolutely.
Story over.
So what are you trying to say? That's okay? Your bylaws specifically state certain things, though. You're not to receive any remuneration of any kind.
That's not what it says.
That's in the bylaws.
That's not what it says.
Oh, it is.
And
that's a
I
problem.
don't receive a remuneration. So
Manny, I
don't know
want
what
to
you're
ask you a
talking
question
about.
on debit cards.
Yes, go ahead.
Does anybody at LynnCAM have debit cards?
The treasurer.
Yes.
Just the treasurer?
The
Yes.
treasurer.
How come John Chapman had a credit card and Karen Chapman had a credit card? And I
Now,
believe
Now
you
you're
may
going
have
back.
yourself.
You're going back in time.
Yeah.
I'm not going back. You talked about
Yeah.
history. I'm talking about the situation as it was. Now, should the president, regardless of whether it's you or anybody else, have a debit card according to the bylaws of LynnCAM? It's a nonprofit. That's what the complaint is talking about. There's where the problem lies. That
Listen.
people were receiving fiduciary. Is that the way you pronounce it? Alan, you understand that. You have to stay away from that. And this is where the problem lies. The history is all good and well. But let's talk about the real issues, and I can't resolve them here. But you're going to have to answer these questions. And I'm not trying to be hard on anybody. I want to be fair. I never hear 781-596-9641. If you have anything to contribute, would like to have your call. So I'm going to go back to you.
Can you read this bylaw?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Bob.
Go ahead. Read
Go ahead.
that. Read the bylaw.
Okay. One thing I want to say to you is this. These bylaws were drafted by the city.
Okay.
Okay? They're contradictory.
Extremely.
And what you say is contradicted by this section. No part of the assets of the corporation shall inure to the benefit of any officer, member, director, or trustee of the corporation, or any private individual, except that reasonable compensation may be paid for services rendered to the organization.
Yeah, I understand. So you're giving the exception rule there, all right, which is open-ended, and you're interpreting it in a way that's favorable to you, but that's not the intent of it. I ask you this, for example. You have an automobile here that's owned by LynnCAM?
Yes,
Who pays for that? Who uses that?
LynnCAM.
Does it have its designation on the vehicle?
No,
Why?
it should. I agree with you.
We don't have
Okay.
the money to do it. We've talked about
You don't
it.
have the money to do it?
No.
To paint it, to get a little sign that designates it?
We've talked about
What's
it.
it used for?
They go out
Who has
and
it?
do shoots.
Who's in charge of it?
It's out back.
Parked, is it always parked here on the premises?
We have a mileage log. Yeah, generally speaking, it's always
Well,
parked
according to
here.
here, there was $9,000 worth of gas bills, which is tremendous for 1 year, on debit cards. Am I right or wrong? Am I saying, these are facts, I'm not making these things up. They're agreed upon facts.
Those gas bills were not only for this particular car, but for other individuals you'd use their private cars for LynnCAM business.
But that's pretty open-ended, and this is where we're having the problem here. And that's what I'm talking about. This is not an ATM.
You know, let me
And-
just,
go ahead,
you know,
I'm sorry.
you're stating some facts, but I don't think, now we're getting into, we're trying to adjudicate the facts.
Right.
And that's something I don't think we should be doing on the show. I think it's perfectly good to state, part of the complaint is that $9,000 was spent, but that, I think that's where it stops. We're not going to adjudicate whether it was
No.
right or wrong, all right? That's in the court, and that's the court's
That's
going to
right.
say,
I agree
this
with
is
you.
right or this
I
is wrong.
agree with you
all right?
1000%.
Because there's never going to be an agreement
And I'm going to tell you
at
one
this
thing.
point in time. But
Because
there
of-
are other things on this topic that you want to go on to. I think
Let
that,
me ask you one question,
Yes.
Al. You know Larry McCully.
yeah, no, that's.
No, this has
said
to be
before
said.
the show that Larry,
Yeah, right. Now, here's a guy
unfortunately,
that
has
was
had
a-
his reputation
Is gone.
hurt for no good reason at
And
all.
he never
All
went
right.
to a meeting. He was appointed by the mayor in 2013, and he never was at a meeting,
Right.
and he's been thrown into the lawsuit, into it. Is
We
Rodriguez on the
didn't
board?
throw him into the lawsuit.
Yeah.
I know, the Attorney General's office.
The AG's office.
I understand that.
When
Because-
did they get
Joe, do you
their
know why?
information?
Joe, do you know
You
why?
know where they were getting their
Because you're
information?
not allowed as a board member, maybe you know this, you're not allowed to pick and choose what meetings you can come to. And he stayed out of the fray for some reason. We have letters that Karen Chapman
Yeah.
sent to the mayor asking for an appointee. For like 2 years we asked.
Do you
It never
have minutes?
happened.
Do you have minutes of your meetings?
Yes, I do. And
right.
let me say this. Once the mayor found out about the money, things started to happen.
Let me ask this. Your brother-in-law was appointed to the board in September of last year, is that correct? When Karen stepped down. He was appointed. Appointed. Is that consistent with the bylaws? I ask you, you're the attorney. Can you be appointed?
I'm going to say one thing. Okay? You want to hear the legality of it, right?
Yes.
That's where you're going, right?
Exactly.
In September, Rob and Cynthia were at the time, Karen Chapman,
Resigned.
not exactly, it wasn't accepted by the board till October. But in any event, what happened was Rob and Cynthia agreed to appoint
Rodriguez.
Almanzo
Yeah.
to the board, okay?
Well,
That was an act that was done between them because they were the only two members on the board.
That's
but
correct.
that is,
Come November,
yeah.
there was a vote of the majority of the board of directors approving and confirming that appointment.
Who were they? Who was
Who
the
was-
majority? You need
who was-
three. Who were the
Who
three?
was
Santoro
present?
was there?
Cynthia,
Me.
Rob, and I believe Santoro was
That's correct.
present.
And he voted for it?
No, he didn't vote for it.
So
There was-
where's
there
the
was
majority?
A majority of the vote was
Two?
two votes, right?
Two and an abstention?
Yes.
That's, I mean, if you have a five-member board, I don't think you can accept that.
So long as you have a quorum.
The rules allow that. The rules are really very poorly
Well,
written.
Yes.
The
Yes.
rules
These
allow
are-
3 people to control the board.
That's right.
If 2 are, if I don't show up, all right, the people who were there can
That's right.
take the action.
Well, they're gonna have to, that's what they're complaining
Okay.
about, and
Yeah.
they're saying the operation.
You need 3 board members to have a quorum.
First of all, the question was not
think-
that. The
it's
question
a
was,
majority.
can-
The key thing
the
here-
board cannot appoint one of its own members, Al, under any condition.
Under these
Under any
bylines.
condition.
You can.
You can.
All
You
right.
can.
They had to
That's
go
what's-
to an election.
But Joe, you're saying that, but the city
Joe, you're
agreed
hitting the
to
point
that.
This is what should be perhaps brought up for discussion, and the fact is that, yes, annually there is supposed to be an election, all right?
And we called for an
Staggered.
election.
Staggered
Staggered.
election, all right?
Called
Now,
for an election.
I here personally have to say, I was never notified that you've had an election to elect new members for 2014, 2015, since last October. All right, I don't know what happened before then. I have to claim ignorance, okay? But
I was out of the
I
country at
did
the
sign
time.
up in September, and according to your bylaws, there's supposed to be a notification of all members that they can, you're going to have a nomination.
They were given that notification.
I never received it.
Well,
In writing, you're supposed to receive it in
I
writing.
agree.
I never
I
received
agree.
it.
Unfortunately,
And other people have told me the same thing.
I
They
didn't
never
produce the
received it.
list of members. I'll call it the other side, produced the list of members, and that's who we mailed.
You have the responsibility to do that as the president. That has to go out there, and that's what
No, we
they're
had someone in
saying.
charge of membership services, and that
Well,
was their responsibility.
you know,
I'm not, as president, supposed to be here
let's
every
not
day.
get into
That's
that.
not my job.
Let's talk about
All right, but
what
you
is
did
really
have an
important
election.
here.
Yeah.
What day was
The
it?
important thing is this: somehow or another,
September?
No, I think it was.
You were in
October?
Greece.
Yeah, I think it was October.
In October, I was here.
Yeah.
October, I think.
was
I think
anybody?
you're right.
Is it in the
I
bylaws,
I have
Manny?
to personally
You were
disagree.
here.
Al.
I was here.
Hey,
There was no election.
Al.
I kind of walked away after that.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Now, wait one more.
2 members
We
showed up
had
at
the
that meeting.
ballots prepared
For what?
for the election.
What happened to him?
Somebody
What happened? They stole the ballots.
Who did?
They put him in the office, in the front office.
right.
They stole the ballots.
The Phantom of the Opera came in here and stole the ballots. I mean, why would someone do that?
I don't know.
Let's move on to the next issue. We're not
No,
going to satisfy this.
The issue is
And
not.
we had
wait a
to
minute.
reprint.
No, wait.
We
Wait
had
a
to
minute.
reprint new ballots.
And what happened thereafter?
There was 2 voters here.
Okay.
2 voters.
Yeah.
One was eligible.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's precisely why you have a lawsuit, because that's slip-slop, and that's not the way you run a corporation.
But you guys are
and
acting-
that's not the way you run anything.
The problem is there wasn't much involvement the way you guys think. There wasn't like 80,000 people banging down the door to come and get involved with
But there are
LynnCAM. It just didn't
memberships
happen.
here, and there's
There were-
500,000.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Now you say memberships.
Yeah.
Okay, since I've been in charge, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know who's a member.
You don't know who the members are?
When I look at the members and I look at the money, it don't match up.
Well, that's exactly right. It
That's
doesn't.
a problem.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you
Yeah.
this.
The
What is
people
the
here every
purpose-
day are in
Let's
charge
talk
of that.
about the real
Not
issue
me.
here. Forget this. What is the purpose of the board? Manny?
The purpose of the board is to run LynnCAM.
That's right. Advisory.
That's right.
Policymakers.
Well,
Policymakers. Not day-by-day operation.
Well, in this particular situation, it is operating the day-to-day operation.
And it should not have.
Just went back to the election. In other words, so if the Attorney General says, can you show us letters of notification that were sent and the sample ballots?
Yes.
Those are present out here.
Yes,
Or if I come in as a member
yes.
and I walk in, I can talk to whoever you say this person is responsible and they can show me the letter. But I know personally, I was on that list of membership,
Probably not the one I got.
okay?
unfortunately.
Because I had asked for a copy.
Because
I said,
That's the
if,
problem.
had
if
a
and when they
person.
have an election, I want to run, and I want to be able to contact people and indicate my preference.
Okay. We have the
I would like to
person
be
that
on
was,
the board and
we
serve.
had one person in charge of the membership and the list of members and the dues and everything else like that. One person. That person had the responsibility to give us the list of voters. Okay? Now, this is the person that went running to the Attorney General's office.
I
Another
have no idea.
dastardly thing happening here. But that does not, none of that excuses the simple question I asked you, is that the board their job is to make policy and not to deal in the day-by-day operation. It's that simple. And they did not do that. They're not supposed to receive any remuneration whatsoever, and they did, and benefits. Hey, Dave, how are you this evening? Dave?
Good. I just want to point something out.
Yeah.
I've been affiliated with LynnCAM for almost a decade, and I've been in good standing. And never once have I ever received anything in the mail about board memberships. I've actually presented the question to the former board president and the current board president, and they both just look at me like I'm a brick wall.
Did you get that?
Because they have no idea what they're talking about, because I'm not friends with them or relatives of them, and I could probably name about a dozen other members who are very little affiliated with the company. Yeah, keep smiling, boy. You shouldn't be talking at all, because you're making yourself look so bad.
I'm at 527 Western Avenue. We can talk anytime you want.
Al?
Got it.
Okay,
Thanks, Dave.
thank you, David, for calling in. We're just going on here, we're talking
All
about
right,
some
let-
facts.
let me-
Why don't you finish what you want to ask, and then,
I
I'll make
think
a little statement.
Can I say something, though?
And,
go
So
ahead.
people realize I've only been in charge for like three months here. You know what I mean?
No, what I'm trying to say is this.
Well, that
You
you're
have to
like- you're like
establish
Mr.
what the
McElroy.
purpose of the
Yeah.
board. You're defending a board that's being accused of malfeasance, that they violated their covenant. That's fundamental. That's the core issue here. The rest of it is noise. The rest of it is fluff.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, you're the attorney. Are there any places, and I don't know because it's got to be adjudicated, as you pointed out. There is a laundry list of charges here from the Attorney General's office, and I don't think they'd be wasting their time. In the past, and this is not something that just came up, in the past, there have been numerous intercessions Mike Marks, for example, came to your board and said, your meetings, I can give you the direct quote if you give me time to look it up, but why bother?
While Joe's looking it up,
You know,
is Kenny Santoro still on the board?
Yes.
Ken Santoro, he's still on the board.
Yes.
And is Larry still on the board, or did he
Yes.
officially resign?
No,
No,
he's still on the board.
we have some callers. Janice, how are you this evening?
Hey, good. I got a question for Rob.
Oh, here we go.
Speak up. Is she there?
Go ahead.
Well, it's actually a membership question. So I tried to pay the 2015 membership, and Mrs. DeMarcus said, Ms. DeMarcus said, LynnCAM isn't accepting new memberships.
I didn't quite get that.
So what's the question?
Yeah.
You're basically asking why, you're asking Attorney
I think I just
and the
explained
President,
Why aren't you accepting new memberships?
haven't new memberships been accepted?
why. I think I just explained it.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Rob.
Why?
We have, because for some reason, again, I'm not here day to day, there's a stack of members, there's no deposits for the members in the bank accounts over the last, we've been looking back for a while. We've been doing our own internal
So what you're
investigation,
saying
believe it or
is
not.
someone
you
in
know.
here has been
It
taking
seems,
money.
it seems to me that Al,
I don't want to say that.
Well, it
but-
seems to me that you, Al, and myself, and Paul Crowley signed a membership card here back in the fall. Am I right
I
or
gave
wrong?
him a check, so I think I'll pull my check out.
Exactly.
See who
Didn't
cashed it.
Sean Donahue
There's
Yeah.
been a,
sign us up?
there's
Yeah.
been a lot of,
Sean
in
signed
my
us up, we all
investigation
joined.
Yeah.
that I found, there's been a lot of, there
And
have
none of
been
us-
no cash deposits.
No
Only
cash
check
deposit?
deposits.
Well, why would people give cash? Do we give cash or we give check? I don't
I
remember.
gave check. I don't think they.
All I know-
don't think they take cash. I don't know.
No,
I
they
thought that
do.
was a
Well,
rule.
who's your
Cash
treasurer?
register.
Yeah, we got a cash
Who's your
Cash
treasurer?
register out there.
Have you?
Now Cindy DeMarcus.
Well, why isn't she responsible for that?
She
We're looking into it. That's
She's
what
on
she,
it.
Well, it's up to her to follow that money
She
trail,
is.
isn't it?
That's
All
what-
right.
that's
she
how we got
is
to this point.
Presently
The quote from
undergoing.
the quote from Attorney Michael Marks at the time. This is in 2011, August of 2011. Mike Marks, who was hired earlier this year by Mayor Kennedy to review LynnCAM's operation, has
I wasn't a
called
board member
LynnCAM
then. Let's get that right.
According to you, according to this, back in 2011.
No, I wasn't a board
Are you
member.
sure?
then. Yes.
Oh, all right. We'll check on
You
that.
can check on that.
All right, so, and this is directed toward the board, not to a particular person anyhow. Well, anyways, he was hired by Mayor Kennedy to review LynnCAM's operation, which is perfectly appropriate. The mayor can do that because she has an advisory role, any mayor. Has called LynnCAM's entire board to resign
Yeah.
in order to create an entirely new board that could begin following the nonprofit articles of an organization which he contends have been ignored for years. He's not the only one that says that. So did Council President at the time, not Council President, Dan Kale, who happens to be, I have Stacey Hawley, who happens to be a nonprofit lawyer. Hi, Holly, how are you? Holly?
Good, Joe. I just want to say something
Yeah.
very simple. This is our city of Lynn that we're knocking down here. Don't you think we should be bringing it up a little bit rather than talking so negative?
Negative about what? Why are we being negative here? I don't know.
Well, you seem to be yelling a lot, and I didn't like it. The last time you did it, too, I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. I don't like it as a citizen out here. I want to see positive.
That's,
I don't want to hear arguing, fighting back and forth. It doesn't look good for our city.
I agree.
Goodbye.
all right, thanks for the call, but this is not, we're not trying to be negative or positive. We're trying to get some facts out, and you can't do that if you try to with things. It's unfortunate, but this is the way it is in an adversarial situation.
Let's come back to what we said in the beginning. We're not going to adjudicate what's going on.
I agree.
Okay? And what Holly is saying, and what I even said in the beginning, nobody gains by having this type of public discussion presently without it having been adjudicated. Because the
Well,
facts
okay, let's
have not been clear.
give you
Okay?
some news tonight.
Certain people have egos, and,
Let me
and
give
that's
you
what's
some
been
news.
dictating this whole thing, and that's wrong. Manny, you said you have some news. Why don't you go
Yes.
ahead?
This is pretty interesting, by the way.
Yeah, I'll listen to news.
The DA indicted John Chapman, correct? There was 6 counts. There was a motion to dismiss filed by the defense lawyer of John Chapman And as of today, late this afternoon, the information is that 4 of the 6 charges have been dismissed by the Superior Court in Salem.
Okay. So we'll find that out. I mean, that's against John Chapman, but you're not representing John
No,
Chapman.
I don't. But
Okay.
That's where the fight starts, though. Come on.
I think,
the mayor, listen, the mayor was not interested in LynnCAM for 4 years. There was numerous
Go ahead.
letters sent to her about vacancies on the board, and only when she discovered that there's money here has she come here. She wants to take control. She had Attorney Marks come to us
That's right.
at the board meeting when we were having the problems with Jim Chalmers
That was
down
at two-
on Woodman Street.
Yeah, it's 211.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way,
She goes in there every morning, right?
well, I kind of think that the mayor, who is an attorney,
you know what? Now we're starting to talk personalities, and I
I didn't
don't
talk.
know. I'm a guy here that
You can't lose sight of that, though.
We don't
that
need
they're
to.
friends.
The whole thing stinks.
It does.
Okay, the whole thing stinks.
I'm caught in the middle.
I don't personally believe that.
It didn't
Everything.
have to rise
Everything
to
is
this
factual that's even been said tonight. All right, we can't prove. All right, the fact that there's a question mark. Was there an election? Was everybody notified? If everybody wasn't notified, that means that the election really is null and void. So, to me, as a normal person, I would say, well, why don't you guys have an election over and make sure that everybody's notified, and let's put that to rest, okay? And then maybe with a new board in there, maybe we can get this case dismissed with the Attorney General.
Well, that's-
we can't deal with John's case, okay? That's something totally separate. All right, but
we have
say,
a suit by
the
City of Lynn against us.
Yeah, but all I'm saying
That's in addition.
that's.
City of Lynn's
Listen
against
to Manny. Listen
us,
to what I'm
meaning
saying.
LynnCAM?
LynnCAM.
Yes.
I'm
Why would
saying-
the City of Lynn be against LynnCAM?
Why?
Yeah, what is the motivation for the City of Lynn?
That's the mayor trying to get control. Don't you
I don't
understand?
think the mayor wants control at all. If anything,
I think
they're
the mayor would
hold
be
it. They're looking for receivership.
Yeah. What
That's
does
not
that
the
mean?
city. That's not the city. Not the city.
And who said that the mayor's the overseer of LynnCAM? This is an independent corporation.
Right, but what if that independent corporation has malfeasance? What then? That's why the Attorney General's office and the DA stepped in. That's why you have this
the DA
complaint
stepped in, that's
here
true.
that happens to be pretty stiff.
Yeah, reliant on information that the DA has used against John Chapman. As a result, we've got 4 out of the 6 counts dismissed without even a trial.
Well, that I don't know because you're telling me that. But I don't. First of all, what would
let's take a quick break here. All right, it's
will
Greek
listen.
Independence Day, Greek holiday coming up, and it's a national holiday. It's being celebrated on March 25th, and I think that we should pay respect to the Greek nationality and their many contributions to the U.S., to the city of Lynn, and let's wish the country of Greece good luck in paying their bills and coming out of receivership.
Speaking of.
And hopefully you'll be able to make enough money to help pay the national debt over there in Greece. And now we can come back to LynnCAM. Now we get this a
You see,
little looser.
I like that.
Here is the problem. I'm happy for and thank you for getting your independence Greek with your green.
And Joe reminded me to say that. So Joe is a good Greek also, but he knows that the
Phil
Greeks
Helene.
stole everything from the Italians.
Well, I come
Good
from
Phil Helene.
I come from Syracuse, Sicily, which was a Greek town. Archimedes was there, and Hercules,
That's
by the
where
way.
the Athenian Spartan War, 25-year war, was settled.
In
Syracuse.
Syracuse, Sicilia.
Syracuse, Sicily.
And,
which
we're not going to be able to settle that tonight, I'll tell you that right now. Look, the reason why
All right.
I was put in a position, Manny, and I want you to appreciate this. Last week, where you guys came on, I had no idea you were coming on, and bingo, everything, it was like, what do they call it? That excrement hit the fan. You get what I mean?
Say
And,
it.
you know,
It's
I'm saying,
SHIT.
what am I doing here, folks?
Yeah.
All right. Then I didn't realize you were coming back. Now the mayor wanted to counteract it, and then all of a sudden she had to bail out because of of the sensitivity of the case, and you guys come back here. I had the opportunity to read this stuff in great detail, and all I wanted to do was find out what the responsibility of the board is, and if they have been living to that responsibility and that bylaws, then fine. If they haven't been, then they should resign and reconstitute. That's all I'm going to say. You got that? And I leave it up to you. You're an attorney with a beautiful, beautiful jacket, by the way.
You like that?
I do. So, does that make sense to you, Manny?
Listen, I was born in Peabody. Greek parents, Greek traditions. I grew up on a farm.
Ooh.
I grew up on a farm. I still own the farm. And what you learn on the farm is that you enjoy freedom. Freedom. And that has been one of the motivators for me throughout my career. I've been a lawyer for 55 years.
I read that. Yeah.
55
I actually
years.
looked you up, you know.
I call a spade, and that's the way I am.
Ah, that's good. Then I ask you one more time.
Go ahead.
One more time. Did the board act and operate in a way that was consistent with the bylaws of incorporation?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Everybody says, well, why didn't you pick up this expenditure or that expenditure, or why this or why that?
Uh-huh.
We had a CPA and a bookkeeper, okay? The bookkeeper kept the books, the CPA
Okayed the
reviewed
books?
them, okayed them. What is a member of the board supposed to do? Supposed to go behind them to examine what is listed in the books?
The information that an accountant gets or a CPA gets is only as good as the data that's fed them. And if the data is tainted, then the result is tainted unbeknownst to the CPA. Okay, we all understand that, right? So, let's go back again. You just said yes, that the board acted consistent with its articles and laws of incorporation. That's what you
Correct.
said. Okay. Now, you did not know that he was a tenant of Karen Chapman back in 2011. Is that correct?
When,
You knew that he was
when are you
appointed to-
saying? When are you saying that?
In 2011.
In 2011?
2011. Yeah. You said you weren't on the board at that time.
At first, I didn't know that.
Right.
But I
And,
did find out later.
and you were a little bit concerned. You put up a red flag on that, did you not? In other words, as an attorney, you understood that wasn't quite. See, here it says right here. When they got rid of Chambers, is that his name?
Chalmers.
You were appointed, not elected, appointed to the board of directors. Sewell's name is on the LynnCAM website. And you said at that time, when Sewell was appointed to the board, that you didn't know if the new board member was a tenant of Chapman's. You said,
Right.
I'm not aware of that, right? If you had been aware of that, would that have been a red flag to you?
Well, certainly a question, okay?
I moved
But-
on relatively quickly.
But being a tenant would not disqualify him as being a member
Didn't say
of the
that.
board.
But there's things called appearances, aren't there, that are important?
If you're a judge, the appearance of impropriety is improper, okay? On a board, not so. Or any other council position.
Well, as
But
an
you were
elected
appointed,
official, the
right, Bobby?
appearance of
You were
impropriety gets you
appointed.
in trouble.
Yes, and
What's
I lived there maybe
I said as
3
an
months,
elected
and then I
official on a
moved. I
board,
haven't
the
lived there for
appearance-
years, so
I mean,
let's
I'm
get
on
that
the
right.
Council on Aging. I just had to take a 3-hour
Unfortunately, the
course
paperwork was turned in
on impropriety.
Yeah.
the wrong way with my address still
Well,
being there,
there
which
was
was
some
not
impropriety.
correct, unfortunately.
Was
Yeah.
your brother-in-law in the moving
That's
business?
one of the reasons why I never accepted a judicial
So he is a
appointment.
licensed mover?
No, he's not a licensed mover, no.
So the move that he was hired to do and stuff like that was just like if I said to a friend of mine, could you help me move?
No.
So he's not professionally a mover. There were no bids on moving the equipment and storing the equipment?
Yeah, there was, yeah.
There was a bid on it?
Yeah.
So
I
it-
believe Access AV gave us a bid.
So does he have a business that's consistent with that?
Not at this present moment,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, see, these are the type of questions that are going to come up, and I'm not, and that's, and you understand this, Danny. I mean, Attorney Papa Nicholas, one of the great independence guys.
can I ask you something,
We
Joe?
have a caller on the line. Hi, good evening.
Joe.
Let me see, Holly. How are you, Holly? Back again?
Yep, it's me again, Joe. It's me again, Joe, your fan. I just want to tell you one thing. I worked for LynnCAM TV.
Okay.
I worked as a consultant,
Uh-huh.
and I worked hard. When I lost my job at the Lynn School Department, illegally, I won it back. I came back to work, and the city of Lynn took my money I made at LynnCAM TV. So how is the city any righter than what you're talking about on here? It annoys me. They took my money I worked hard for. That's not even a city entity.
How is that
So
possible?
look at both sides, Joe. That's why I'm aggravated out here.
I can understand your aggravation, but I don't understand your linkage. You're saying that the city of Lynn took your money away, your budgeted money away? Is that what you're saying? What are you saying?
I think she...
No, I worked at LynnCAM TV.
I understand that.
LynnCAM TV as a consultant on the open house.
Yeah.
Money she made from
So
the
you're like,
And when I got my job back,
okay.
They illegally
the
fired...
city of Lynn took my money I made at LynnCAM TV. How is that legal?
Well, let me have Bobby,
It's okay for them to do that?
and then we'll discuss it. Is that okay, Holly? Call back if you'd like. Good,
I
Bob.
don't-
What is she talking about here?
Well, she used to be a consultant for us.
Yeah, meaning?
And I think she did some bookkeeping, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm not... I wasn't a
All
board
right.
member then, so I'm
But
not
she
aware.
was a consultant.
And she worked for the city of Lynn at the same time. And they said they fired her for doing it. And
The
then
city
she,
of Lynn fired her for being a consultant.
right. Then she won her job
No.
legally.
No,
And
that's not what happened. You know, I think we're going beyond what we should be going.
I
on.
understand that, but
All right,
we didn't
Polly,
bring this
what
up.
happened basically? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is you made a settlement. They owed you so much money, and they said, "Well, you made this much while you were fired, so we're going to subtract what you made working outside from the settlement." And in that way, they took away the extra money you made. Is that correct?
I guess you.
Sort of. They took the money away that I made at LynnCAM TV.
Okay.
and she's
but-
trying to say that...
But let me ask
How
you,
is that
you know,
possible?
and I feel, I don't like anybody losing their job or anything else. But does that have anything to do with the situation here?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At this point,
That's what,
Yes.
Holly, it's a different situation. What we're talking about here is,
No.
and
I
it-
think what Holly's trying to say is if you're saying that the board's doing bad, imagine what the city's doing.
you
Is
don't
that right,
excuse
Holly?
your sins by.
What I'm trying to say is
Others.
two wrongs don't make a right.
Exactly.
Very good, Holly. I agree
Exactly.
with that.
That's it. I finally got it out, Joe.
You're absolutely right, Holly.
The mayor should be looking after the potholes in the city of Lynn.
As a matter
It's
of fact-
Joe,
disgrace
I
coming down
think-
Western Avenue.
We've covered this topic pretty much, and we're getting sidetracked. We're talking about other things right now. I think we ought to take a break. We want to thank Attorney
Papa Nicholas.
Yeah.
Papanicolaopoulos for coming
Oh.
and wish him well
Mr.
with
Manning and
the
Bobby.
National Greek holiday, and the President, Bobby, for coming on and giving
for having
their
me.
side
So
of
in other
the
words,
story.
you're dismissing the two now, right? That's been
Yeah,
decided?
I think we've
He's the
reached the
principal.
point
Hey.
Yeah.
where we're
Oh, all
gonna-
right, I got it.
I think,
Folks, we're going to go to a
and
break.
I certainly would hope that you would
And
consider
we'll be
having an
back.
election of the board since only one person showed up. You might bring that up at your next
Might
board
get
meeting.
2 people, huh?
Well, I think you'd get 28 people, or probably 28 members. Thank you very much. We
Thanks.
appreciate your time and effort in coming in, and
We'll be back.
we'll be back.
Mom.
back in our final segment. That was pretty,
I do like this, the city voice, Joe.
You do, yeah.
Huh?
And Lynn's in.
And Lynn is in.
Folks, Lynn is in, and these guys try to steal our concept. Would you believe it? I mean, you remember Bob Baker?
Bob Baker used to be Director of Economic Development, and Lynn lives over in Swampstead. Lynn wasn't
No, he's
good
in
enough.
Marblehead now.
Marblehead
You know what fascinates me? You're in Lynn, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I mean, for all fair, if you look at Jim Cudell, EDIC, he's in Lynn. He's a Lynn guy.
Yep.
Charlie Gator, who's a pretty powerful guy, he's a Lynn guy. I mean, all these folks have an interest in Lynn, and they do good work for the city of Lynn. And yet you have all these people that once were in Lynn, profited from Lynn, who now live in Marblehead, Nahant, and Swampscott, and they want to tell Lynn people what they ought to do. And, oh, we're going to brand you, but for a price. Oh, we'd like to do that. You get what I mean? Well, first of all, they don't own the brand, because we own the brand. We're the first ones to come up with Lynn's In. It's a hot city, Al. And you folks out there that would like one of these custom-made Lynn's In,
You can. You got an email address for him, Joe?
we will. I don't know. We'll find out. But they can call us. They can leave their name, their address, and their size and color preference, and we'll have one out to them.
So tonight, if they
within
call
2 weeks.
781-596-9641 and
That's
leave
our
their
number.
name, you will make sure they get a T-shirt.
Yeah. Now, the mayor had to beg off of tonight's show, and I want you folks to understand, I did not plan it. I did not ask. This was forced upon me, and if you think I was harsh, well, so be it, because the truth has to triumph somewhere along. You can't cut corners. And I take a look at a long list of people who I respect and who I know and who are competent, and when you meet guys like Danny Kale and Mike Marks and Lamanna and Barry and Blodgett, and on, many Democrats, and I'm a Republican, and Sam Vitale, we're in it today, a hell of a guy, you know that, right? And each and every one of them shake their heads and say this place has been run badly for a long time and has to be reconstituted. They could not answer any questions. It was always an excuse.
Yep.
Did you notice? Well, all of a sudden, the records disappeared.
Yep.
Some masked man came in and
Well,
got them.
it's like back in September,
Yeah.
when this whole thing came about, I said to you and I said to Paul, we should make sure that we're members so that we can participate in any election and make
And we
sure,
joined.
and we all joined, so we could make sure that LynnCAM itself would continue to go in a
All right.
positive
Who-
direction.
The only one I get notification from Dave Riley and from Sean Donahue regularly about meetings and everything else, okay?
Yeah.
But there haven't been any meetings. And I'll tell you why I'm a little bit upset, Al. And, over and above everything, I was not knowledgeable about, and you said stay away from this issue, which we did.
Yep.
All right, because it's in the court system. But when I see a man who I've known for a long time, and who is the trustee at the Salem State College, who is the treasurer and secretary of the Lynn Republican City Committee for years, of impeccable, credentials and character, getting sullied by this action to which he was not a participant, that breaks my heart. It really does.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, folks. Where do you go to get your reputation back? You heard that before, didn't you?
Yep.
I mean, it's like a skunk came by and sprayed on him, and he was innocently standing there. And this is the whole thing. So we'll find out, but there's a lot in here, Al. They wouldn't be taking this. They say where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, there looks like there's a lot of smoke there. Judy's released, the mayor's released. My office is aware that a certain individual and attorney have appeared on a local public access cable talk show, otherwise known as the City Voice, and have made statements relating to a lawsuit filed by the Lynn Community Access and Media, Inc., otherwise known as LynnCAM. My office, the mayor's office, believes that any public statements relating to the merits of the LynnCAM suit, as you mentioned, Al, are inappropriate, as long as the suit is pending. I'm going to leave it at that. That pretty much says it all. You would do the same thing when you were mayor.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. And and the big thing again is, why don't they just have an election and let the people who are members? There's only
You're
30
talking
people.
about dissolve the
I'm
board.
talking, yeah.
Dissolve the
well,
board.
the existing board has to call for the election.
The Egyptian board is going to call for anything.
Well, that's why I asked them tonight. I said,
You know why? Because they control it. How about this? 2 people voting. Oh, thank you very much. I mean, it's all interrelated.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk turkey here. I mean, a car. Did you know that they had a car here? The LynnCAM
No.
stand for a car? All right. Did you know that they went for $9,000 for gasoline in 1 year? That's a lot of driving, partner. Huh? You keep looking at some of these things and you wonder about it. I think that they should have a vehicle here. And that vehicle should be used by the employees here when, guess what? There's breaking news. Or when they have to go to an event. You know, they have to cover City Hall, they bring their equipment. They need a van. I agree. But this is for private. People using it privately? Why isn't there any designation on the car that's LynnCAM? Tell me. Can you answer those questions?
Nope.
But they're interesting, aren't they?
Nope.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's going to be decided. Hopefully, the sooner the better. I hear statements today that are
Well, Holly's back again.
The
Holly,
exact-
we got you again?
exact opposite of
Yep.
what I've been told. Go ahead.
Yeah, Joe, I'm back again. I believe in what the mayor just said. She said the right thing. The more you talk about it, the worse it's going to be for anybody to solve this whole matter. I agree with the mayor.
Okay. And I think you're absolutely right. That's a good point. Our number is 781-596-9641. Let me ask you,
Let's talk about another problem going on in the city of Lynn.
what is?
They're buying 3 families and 4 families and converting them into rooming houses.
Yeah, and why are they doing that?
And my understanding, they make money, but
Of course they're doing it to make money.
And there's nothing that, under the present rules, I guess, we've got to have something. Maybe there's got to be a new ordinance that the city council comes up with. But what's happening is they're saying this is European style living. The Boston Globe today, the new architects are saying, well, what we have to do now is to build places that have a bedroom with their own bath, and then have a common kitchen and a common living room. And they come right out and say, we have to call it European living because people won't accept rooming houses.
The reason why they're doing, I suspect, the problem with some of these things is, what do you do with folks who are now currently living in hotels, quote unquote, the homeless, and motels at high expense, at hotel rates?
Joe, you know that's been the case since you were on the city council.
That's right.
Okay? And the more that we come up with housing, the more people look for it for nothing. All right?
They're looking for everything for nothing.
You know, let's be honest. I mean, this is nothing new. All right? When we're back in the 80s, we had the problem with busing all the kids in from all the trailer parks up on Route 1 in Peabody and Saugus and Danvers. They were coming to the Lynn schools. And I actually took that on as a battle, and I was called heartless, etc. But the people that lived there started going to the Danvers schools, the Saugus schools, and the Peabody schools.
Well, one of the problems is if the dollars have to follow. So,
Yeah.
for example, if Lynn decided to build an alternative homeless living space, the state has to step in and send money for the children that would be impacting the school system. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we need it. What they've been doing hasn't worked. I mean, we got 30 years of trying to say,
Yeah.
all right, you need housing, we're going to give it to you, okay? But where's the break? It's generation after generation. You know, maybe it comes back. Maybe the schools aren't doing what's happening. There's got to be more opportunity. You know, it's like we look at some of these Guatemalans, and they come in here. They work hard. They make money,
kidding.
and they.
Al, I tutor, and have been tutoring for the last 2 weeks, a group of young kids from Guatemala. Folks, I want you to listen to this, because it's almost like a horror story. It breaks your heart. These young kids, 17, 16, 17 years old, they come to school every day. They're not even educated in their own country. You know, they have no idea geography, math, or anything. Forget about the fact they can't speak English. Every single one of them works 7 nights a week. After school, they go right to work until 2, 3 in the morning. They work their brains off, and for little money, and they save it and they send it back to Guatemala to their families. These are our young people. They have no sleep, and I said to him, I said, why are you coming to school? He says, because I want to learn. My father was 15 when he came here. He had a 3rd grade education. He didn't speak English. He worked hard. He went through, really hard. These kids are doing the same thing. I applaud them. We shouldn't be, jumping all over them.
No, and it's what America should be about. I mean,
Exactly.
I think, I hear that, like my wife, she'll say she got out of school in the afternoon and she went in the shoe factories and worked from 3 to 11.
That's right.
When she was in junior high school.
Exactly. And they did that.
Yeah.
And that was the ethic. Now, let's talk about the flip of it. I end up going to Assembly Mart, whatever it's called. You familiar with that out in Somerville? It's this new configuration.
Assembly Mall?
Yeah, Assembly.
Yeah.
They don't like calling malls anymore because the old malls
That's
are
where
antiques.
the Lego was.
Right.
Lego museum
And we got
is.
one in Linfield with the Whole Foods, where the
Yeah.
golf course used to be. So I was at those two places over the weekend, and I had one of these epiphanies, right? I said, those are dinosaurs. This is the way of the future. And by the way, they're $15 hamburgers. $15 hamburgers, mind you. And
They're as bad as the $15 Cane's Donuts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And by the way, the place is packed.
Yeah.
I'm saying, where? So this is the flip side. Now, I'm saying, in fact, I was talking to Danny Kale, who's a very bright guy, by the way.
Very bright, very intelligent.
And I said, Danny, I had an epiphany. I said, why don't we take the Linway and call it what you want to call it, but we do the exact same thing, right on the harbor. Call it the Atlantic Boardwalk or whatever. I think it's a good idea. We should talk about that. Someone's on the line. How are you? Where is that phone call that I just saw? Hello, goodbye, gone. So what do you think of that, Al? I mean, we take a master plan and we say, let's build one of these malls with residential and the whole thing mixed right on the harbor.
Oh, it's hopefully going to do that. We mentioned Danny, and Danny's a great candidate. Not candidate. He's definitely going to probably top the ticket along with Buzzy.
Are you sure?
I think
We
so.
have an election season to do this,
there's another candidate tonight that's got people out, I guess at the Knights of Columbus, a good friend of yours, Brian.
You mean Brian? LaPierre?
And it's going to be one very interesting race.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to let these candidates know that they're more than welcome to come here on the show.
Oh, they know that.
And talk, whether it be Brian or I think we've got a few of them coming up. I think.
Yeah, we do. And by the way, we got about a minute. So Charlie Gallo's coming up, but he's retired.
Yeah.
Danny will be here on the 22nd. And I think we got Lynn Tech Co-op. We have some really nice shows going out, and it's nice to have you back. You're all tanned up, and look at this, color coordinated.
I dressed up tonight just for you, Joe.
I did myself.
And I love the T-shirt.
Do you like yours?
Next week I'll wear the T-shirt. I won't have to pick out be color coordinated.
Yes, and by the way.
And again, Joe said you can order these. Don't hesitate to call.
Remember, I'm serious.
Lynn is in. Lynn is in.
And Bob Baker is not. And you know who else tries to steal
and
that
Bob
from
Baker is out.
He's out. And if you're there, Calvin Anderson's trying to co-op us too. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, you know that?
Yeah.
We have copyright on that.
Calvin is the expert on recycling.
He is.
He came in here with all his paper bags.
But we have to recycle out of here.
All right.
Folks,
good night.
Have a
God
great
bless.
evening, and welcome back, Al.
And make sure you vote for Joe for an Oscar.